Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. And we're zooming in and focusing in on a really important and interesting topic, and that is to look at the relationship dynamic patterns when you are involved with a narcissist, a sociopath, a psychopath, all different spectrums on the cluster B personality profile. Those individuals, essentially, they have one, common denominator foundation, essentially being that they have a pathological sense of self-importance or self-absorption, and coupled with a lack of empathy, meaning that they really do not become attached to, connect to, or relate to the feelings, needs, wishes, or desires of another. It's completely not part of the equation. They might feign to, they might appear to, they might have a facade of caring, but there is no caring individual underneath, especially when we get into the very severe part of the spectrum when it comes to a psychopath. I mean, these are completely different types of individuals, but in the psychopath, they are devoid of a conscience. So they really do not have a moral compass when it comes to what they will do. They will stop at nothing to get what they want. So it can become very severe, and then the patterns of your relationship with them can become very pathological as well. And one of the patterns that I want to really zoom in and focus in on today is that essentially is what I'm calling as the pain release pattern. In other words, the relationship starts to take on a whole new level of pain and release. So the relationship, rather than it being an accumulation of good times, good memories, I'll see you later, and then sharing these, free of fakeness, free of pathological lying, free of hiding, concealing, and this sort of splitting behavior or triangulation, there becomes a whole new level of essentially where you are in a pattern of pain and release, meaning the self-doubt, the paranoia, the suspicion, the feeling that you have not pleased them enough, that there is something missing. It's not oftentimes what they say, it's more what they do or their lack of what they do. In other words, there might be missed birthdays, missed holidays, missed weekend dates, missed travels, where, you plan on going on a trip and it just mysteriously never happens. You talk about renting a car and, traveling the coast, and, it just never materializes. It's not only a lot of broken promises, it's a lot of false promises. They talk about maybe how you're going to have kids or a pet, or they do these things, and it's all just hearsay. It is all just talk, and your relationship then becomes based on trying to resolve this pain. The what about we were going to do this? What about we should do that? And you keep trying to hold them to a commitment or a promise that is just hearsay. It is all purely talk. Poof, it goes up in smoke. There is no substance behind it. And, the issue is that these individuals lie for a lifestyle. They deceive as part of their DNA. It is just how they get through their day. And they do this when they don't even require it, but they really just get sort of a feeling of being superior to when they can pull one over on people. So, the question is, why do they do it? Well, especially, these individuals feel a sense of control and at the command and at the helm if they can just string you along in a series of lies, false promises. And then you then become trying to fix the equation and, settle the score and see how, are we meeting our goals? Are we meeting our relationship goals? Are we having the fun? Are we keeping the fun going? Are we keeping the promises going? Are we keeping our relationship growth going? And you try to then hold them to it, and you find that they, shrink out of the picture, that they're not holding up their end of the bargain. And not so much even that they, tell you it's going to be they will just basically, especially in the way of the psychopath, it is just, they'll do a lot of false promises and then they'll watch your reaction. So you might get the psychopathic gaze where it's just a very empty gaze where they're looking at you and just gauging your reaction. I mean, it's as if, you were to throw a hook and worm into a fishing pond and you're just watching to see the reaction. Just a very bored sort of look on their face, a very empty look. And especially in the advent of the psychopath, they're always trying to force a reaction. They're always trying to force and engineer a reaction from others. So they feed literally like a parasite in a host. They feed off of people's reaction. And so they see when you're going down the rabbit hole of pain. They see that you're starting to go along with it and then question, doubt it. And then they also are able to observe when you enter into a new level of self-doubt. So you might have been, maybe securing yourself, or you might have had a little insecurity about one thing or another, which then they got you to feel good about. In other words, your sense of manliness, or being feminine, or whatever it is, whatever it is that was unique to you, they're able to solidify that. And so the relationship, especially in the idealized state, that can oftentimes be worked very hard. And then so when you realize then that they basically will just gauge your reaction, and then they see you getting addicted to this sort of pain release pattern where you might they see that you're working harder and harder trying to resolve the pain in the relationship, the issue in the relationship, the fact that you're not spending more weekends together, or you're not spending more holidays together, or you're not getting the marriage proposal, the ring, the travel, whatever it is that you had basically determined was your next level, and they see that you're trying harder. And so there's oftentimes this pattern of the target or the supply, the individual who's being manipulated, guessing themselves, and then you get into another whole nother level of self-doubt where you have to work harder to resolve this doubt. In other words, you might be canceling plans, you might be violating your own family, your own values, and this is when they really sort of dig in deep, when they see that you're really losing track of your own sanity, your own reality, your own values. So things that might be important to you, like family, career, your health, your fitness, or meeting your travel goals, or having your family. They will try to target those things which are of most importance to you, and then really shrink away from that. And so realize that if this has occurred to you, if this has happened, it's just part of how they manipulate. And the key is not to fall for it or to stop this pattern right away. A healthy relationship shouldn't have to be based on this pain release sort of experience. Otherwise, it's really just it's a false sham, and it's not healthy to send your body into that sort of emotional roller coaster, especially when the highs might become high, but then lows become low, and then you find out that you're empty-handed and you really have no relationship to call yours. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Love you. Thank you so much for your viewership, and please do share. Please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discretion, and support.